Good afternoon, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News, and this is another edition of From Someone Who Knows. This is a segment we do every week here at Channel 19. It gives you a little bit more of an insight to a story. What ends up on Channel 19 may only be a 2-minute long segment, but there is much more to the story, especially when it comes in terms of a powerful interview, of powerful images. And this is a chance for you to see maybe a little bit more behind the curtain of journalism, that while we may be able to pull a couple of sound bites from an interview that sometimes is 15, 20, 30 minutes long, you get to see the rest of the story. Today, an extremely tough topic, and I want to warn our viewers, especially our animal lovers, that this is a brutal topic. This is just a young puppy, a pit bull puppy, just about 8 months old, that was brutally slashed. Some of the pictures that we were given by the Lorain County Friendship APL, we're not even going to show you. I saw some of the pictures, and it was absolutely horrific, of this just little puppy named Ivy that had been slashed by her owner, really, and opened up. The whole side of her face was this gaping, bleeding wound that came in to the veterinary clinic, and then Ivy has now been placed in the care of the Friendship APL out of Lorain County. You're even going to hear from, as we look at the pictures of Ivy. Again, very tough to look at here, but the good news is she obviously does survive. I'm not sure how, mind you. This is the surgery pictures given to us by the APL. This is the executive director, Greg Wiley, and we'll be hearing from him in his own words about just how bad this was and how brutal. One of the most brutal cases he's ever seen. A slight picture of just the ear, and this is the dog's owner, 41-year-old Terry Thomas. He's facing a number of animal cruelty charges. As you can see, those stitches go all the way up the side of the face of Ivy, and it was an hours-long surgery that was needed to save her life, but it has been done. It is going to be a long road to recovery for this young dog, and it's going to be expensive. The APL asking for some help. They have seen an exponential increase in the last 3 years of animal brutality cases. You're going to hear from Mr. Wiley that he doesn't know why. That they have seen what he calls maybe a 60% increase in the amount of animal brutality cases that come in, animal cruelty cases, and it just shows the need for not only the Lorain County APL, but humane societies, APLs, all over Northeast Ohio really need help in the form of donations when it comes to taking care of these animals. We're going to take a quick 60-second break, and then you're going to watch, in his words, the description from Mr. Wiley about the injuries to young Ivy and what the road looks like ahead. And he does literally nearly come to tears when he's talking about this young dog. We're going to take that 60-second break, and then we'll come right back and you'll see the entire interview. And welcome back to From Someone Who Knows. You're about to watch the entire interview, or the large portion of the interview anyway, with the Executive Director of the Friendship APL in Lorain County, Mr. Greg Wiley, who has this little dog, Ivy, in his arms during the interview. She is clearly scared. You're going to notice she can't blink one eye. She is sort of paralyzed on one side of her face from this attack. What's described as some sort of plastic object that the owner of the dog, Terry Thomas, used to slash the dog's throat. And why did he do this? Well, from early reports, it's because Ivy had an accident in the house, as all little puppies will do, and that set off Mr. Terry Thomas, and he is now facing multiple charges for cruelty to animals. Take a look now at From Someone Who Knows, who has treated not only Ivy, but a lot of humane cases, brutal cases for animal cruelty. Take a look now in the words from Greg Wiley.
On Saturday, how long was the surgery?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't know how long she was in surgery.
Okay. And they had to, can you tell us what the surgery was for specifically?
Absolutely. It was to suture up all the wounds that happened as a result of the laceration she received from the person said when they were here that was some kind of plastic object that they used. The vets here are pretty confident that it was some kind of knife, though.
Mm-hmm. What is Ivy's problem? How old is she, roughly? Do you believe?
She's 8 months old.
8 months. What is her prognosis at this time?
Right now, everything's good. She does have some facial paralysis, so with that being said, we're hopeful that that's going to resolve itself. If not, she'll have some long-term vet care that's going to need to take place. Some chronic dry eye, because right now she can't blink her one eye.
So what kinds of treatments will she need in order to recover, like as far as follow-ups and that kind of thing?
So we're hoping one of the vet techs here is actually going to be one, actually take the dog and give it a chance to recover in their home, so that she'll have some more expertise, expert care while she goes through wound management. And then we're hoping that the stitches will be able to come out in a couple of weeks, and then we'll see what kind of long-term effects the wounds had on her face.
What is her appetite like, and are there things that she can and cannot do as a result of her injuries?
Well,
like
blink.
what a normal dog's would
Right
do?
now it's blink, and she does have some partial facial control issues with that side of her face at this point, resulting from the wounds.
So are there things that you guys aren't allowing her to do, like a normal, healthy pit?
Right now, they're not going to allow a lot of activity and running around and jump, because the wound is pretty fresh, and you want the stitches to set nice and tight. So no jumping around, no overactive.
Was there any evidence of past abuse?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay. And she's a full pit?
Yes, some kind of pocket pitty. She's pretty tiny, chunky.
How big is she, roughly?
She feels like she's probably about 35 to 40 pounds.
Okay. And were there other animals in the home that you know of?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry, I'm just taking over all
No,
the
you're good. I put up late. I'm so
I know
sorry.
you talked about this being the worst case that you've seen, and you talked about the scars, but just speak on why it's the worst case.
Well, it's one of the most brutal attacks I've seen. So it's just the brutality of it. It's not necessarily the worst humane case I've ever seen, based on size and scope, but it is. Oh, stop. It's okay, Papas. So I think that overall, just the brutal nature of the attack. I mean, the amount of times that the size of the wound that was created, I think, just is truly was unbelievable. And for her to have survived is incredible. I mean, she had to travel quite a ways to get from Perkins to Northview, and like I said, the amount of blood loss she had suffered, the size of the wound, it was just quite overwhelming. So it was really a kind of a miracle that she's still alive. And she's got a really good disposition in the quiet spaces. I mean, I think this is, obviously very overwhelming for her, given her circumstances and everything she's been through. And she is on a heavy dose of pain medication at this point right now too. So I think, like I said, I think she's seeing a lot more people than her here right now. So she is, but has been a very pleasant-natured dog here, very quiet, really longing for and craving attention from the staff here. Very, very affectionate, and was affectionate upon arrival. She was trying to love up on everybody despite the wounds, trying to get, some attention.
And personally for you, I'm sorry if you already spoke on this, but seeing this case and seeing her and seeing what happened, I mean, when you first heard it, how does that make you feel? I mean, when I saw the post, it ripped my heart out.
Yeah, I was so angry that morning. I wanted to figure out how we could get this person, not only that this person could potentially be dangerous, this potentially is a person that, was having, honestly, some kind of mental health crisis, and was at large and had a knife and had done this to an animal. I, was worried about what else they could do. So, we took what we found. My humane officers came out here, and then attempted to get a hold of Perkins Township Police Department so that they could follow up on the case. And by Monday, he was arrested. So.
He is being charged under Goddard's law,
Yes.
facing 6 to 12 months behind bars, and I believe a $2,500 fee. But some people think that it should be more. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, that's the law. So ultimately, I have to go with what I think, is the law and what should be done. The most important thing is that he not be allowed to own animals. I think this guy should not be around animals at this point. This is a reaction to what, all pet parents go through. Supposedly this was a reaction to the dog going to the bathroom inside the house. It's a puppy, and this was the reaction. So, obviously, I think that to me is the most important thing. That's the most important part, is that's followed up with, and that this person's not allowed to have a pet.
And have you given her a name? Did I miss that?
Well, the name that she came in with was Ivy.
Ivy?
We're hopefully going to be renaming her, yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that something you guys will decide, or maybe foster?
Maybe the foster parents
Okay.
will decide that, yeah.
And then again, also something I might have missed. How much longer is she going to be in your care, and then when does she go to?
So we're hoping to put her in a foster home by tonight. I'd like to see how she does in a home and how she adjusts in a home. So we've had a couple of people, the staff members here at Northview, that have offered to take her temporarily into their care to see how she does and help continue to manage her wound care. We also had a reach out from a friend of ours who at Multiple Breed Rescue, who is actually offering some additional training to help her kind of adjust back into and get some socialization, which she obviously could use.
And you guys, what is the message, I guess, you're sending out? You want the community to know, I mean, this has been posted out, it's gotten a lot of traction. People want to know how they can help, but what's the message you're putting out to the community from her story?
Well, one of the things that I really want to say is that she is obviously a case where you're seeing something so absolutely brutal, but right now shelters are overwhelmed with humane cases. We're seeing a large increase across our community, across Northeast Ohio. Most shelters that are doing humane work are seeing lots of additional cases this year, and what I can tell you right now is we fill up at our shelters. We need foster homes. If people are willing to foster not just this dog but other dogs in shelters, give them temporary space to help us extend the care and the quality of care that we're able to provide. Foster homes are desperately needed all throughout our community. And so dogs like this can go someplace to recover in a healthy environment and a quiet environment and continue to recover from their wounds. Sometimes it's just taking on happy dogs that just allow us to provide additional space so we have room for dogs from humane cases. So foster homes are so urgently needed. Volunteers are urgently needed. And of course, all shelters, with such an increase in cases and caseloads, a lot of these animals have health concerns, donations. If you can't foster, if you can't adopt or volunteer, make a donation. It doesn't have to be anything amazing. $5, $10 can go a long way in helping us cover the cost of these animals.
Thank you so much.
Why do you think humane cases have gone up in the past year?
I don't know if it's just been in the past year. I think it's kind of a post-pandemic phenomenon. So what the correlation may be, I will just tell you that we're seeing very large increases in the size and scope of our humane cases as well. We've seen, you know, a 500-600% increase over the past, you know, 3 years basically. So like you're
And dog
looking
abuse
at,
cases?
yeah. So you're looking at our cases. Our humane cases used to make up about 6 to 8% of our intakes, and now it's well over 23% of our overall intakes for the year. So we are just seeing massive increases in the number of cases year over year. And I can't make a correlation as to why that is or why that's happening. Many of my fellow humane societies are seeing similar reports and hearing similar things. Maybe not on the scale and scope of what we're dealing with here, but it's been pretty overwhelming, and I think the cases are just, at this point, you can only invariably say they're going to go up. And these can be small cases, from everything from animal abandonment due to, you know, evictions, which you would expect sometimes to see in this economy, to, you know, large-scale animal abuse, whether it be because the costs of care continue to skyrocket, you know, animals that aren't seeking or getting care or seeking emergency care. We're just seeing such an overwhelming number. And like I said, some of the size and scale and scope of what we're seeing is just pretty overwhelming as well.
Well, thank you for making me sad and Riley.
Are you guys okay if I go over stuff I missed? Do you want to grab your?
What are you looking at the
Okay.
cost of treatment here altogether?
The cost of treatment, it's going to be thousands of dollars. I don't know if we have a full estimate at this point, but it'll be thousands of dollars for the care.
And
Will she go ahead, I'm sorry.
that money, is there a fund, the community help? Can they donate? What do you guys?
We're definitely having it posted out on our Facebook
Yeah.
page. I do highly recommend that before, there is a link in our Facebook page to our website. Do not go to that website if you are at all queasy with images, which, we see things all the time here. I do highly recommend that, before you go and look at those images, please, use caution.
Thank you. Will she let us get B-roll of her, like you walking her or
She's
back
not
in her
really
room?
walking. I carry her. We are carrying her back and forth at this point. She doesn't know how to walk on. She's not walking on this floor. So.
Okay, I'm just trying to see what other kind of, B-roll. So when you're not holding her, where is she? Where do you put her?
Oh, she's in the intensive care unit under constant supervision.
Do you mind going over again, just because I know we were late and I apologize for that? What treatment, if you're able to explain, what kind of treatment did you have to do for her to help her out when she first came in?
Well, they had to repair her ear, which had been sliced off. They had to repair this entire gaping wound that was open. I mean, I'd never seen anything. It didn't look like a dog, the images. It no longer looked like a dog. So the fact that they're able to piece her back together like this is truly incredible. The size of the wound was just I woke up they called me at like 7 o'clock and a little before 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, and I woke up and started getting the images coming in, and I will tell you that it's one of the first ones I just didn't want to show anybody what those images look like. We see all sorts of horrible stuff. I mean, we're just subjected to all sorts of horrible stuff. And it really takes a toll on humane officers, veterinarians, support staff, volunteers to see this stuff day in and, every day we're seeing, skinny and emaciated dogs. We have, other dogs currently here. We had a dog last week, a Great Dane, that was kept its entire life in a puppy cage. And the dog had lost the kind of use of it. It just didn't form correctly because it tried to form inside of a cage that was 3 sizes too small for it. And we're just seeing more and more of this. We're just seeing more and more of these cases, and it just gets hard to deal with. It's hard to see day in and day out. It's hard for everybody to see and hard for everybody to deal with. And Yeah, so, we need help. That's what I would say. And to be honest, so do all my friends across Northeast Ohio. We have, and beyond, throughout Ohio, all these humane societies are seeing there's just so many cases anymore.
What was that statistic you said before? I'm sorry. You said there were 6% last year, or did you say like in 2020?
Like in 2019, we would have been in like 6% or to 8% of our
6 to 8,
cases of
yeah.
animals that were coming into our shelter. And mind you, this is a number, we deal with over 6,000 animals a year. So when you're looking at a jump from 6 to 8% to suddenly it's jumped into 23% of our intake, by the way, that cripples our ability to help other agencies that are overwhelmed, bring in transfer animals, because these cases can oftentimes take a while to resolve. These are humane cases, so they have to go through the court systems. So that these dogs end up sitting, and cats and pets and animals end up sitting with us much longer in shelters when they're part of a humane case than they would the traditional 72 hours for a stray dog hold. These ones can end up sitting with us for weeks, if not months, depending on what's going on with the court system. There's something called a probable cause hearing that's supposed to speed this up and turn them over to our care, but it can depend on the courts themselves on whether or not and how fast those go through. So we can be tied up with these dogs for a very long period of time, and pets and animals, and we've dealt with everything from cockfighting to hundreds of sheep. So we're dealing with massive amounts of different types of animals and trying to house them, and our staff is trying to provide the care necessary for them. And we're a very small staff that has been able to operate largely because we operate with the idea that animals are going to fly through the shelter or get turned over, because we've largely had a lot of animals being transferred in from other organizations that just need a home, a temporary space until they can find adoption. But now we're at this critical point where we're just seeing these cases increase and increase and increase.
And that from someone who knows. You've been listening to the interview of Greg Wiley. He is the Executive Director of the Friendship APL in Lorain County. I'm going to reiterate how difficult the pictures are. And if you are at all squeamish, and especially for our animal lovers, excuse me, if you go to the Friendship APL in Lorain County's Facebook page, you will see pictures that will horrify you. They have posted the pictures to show the reality of what can happen to a small dog that is slashed repeatedly by some sort of plastic knife or something. Her entire side of her face was wide open, and as you heard from Wiley, it didn't even look like a dog. She had been filleted open by her owner right there, 41-year-old Terry Thomas. He is facing animal cruelty charges, as well he should, because of just how bad this was. And again, all because she had a bathroom accident in the home. An 8-month-old puppy had an accident, and that was his reaction. And you heard from Mr. Wiley, this was someone who was on the loose, who clearly had a knife or some sort of object and had just taken out some sort of rage or anger issue on this defenseless little dog. And as you also heard, they need help. And it's not just the Lorain County APL, it's all over Northeast Ohio, whether it's foster homes for dogs, volunteers, or monetary donations that can help in this. We all love animals, or most of us obviously love animals, and this was just a really tough one to take. So we wanted you to hear that entire interview, or at least the majority of it. And again, that's why we call this From Someone Who Knows. This is someone who's on the front lines of seeing animal cruelty cases, and he just saw one of the worst he has in his career as far as the absolute brutality. I mean, she was, those pictures, and I again caution you, if you want to see them, you can go to the Friendship APL Facebook page for Lorain County and take a look. But just be very cautious. It is graphic to say the least, and that's even if those pictures are still up. Not sure if they've removed them. Again, this is a segment we do weekly here for Cleveland 19, and if you'd like to see some of our past episodes, they are, really something to watch. It is an inside look and more detail than what we get to show you on Cleveland 19. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to full episodes of From Someone Who Knows. And of course, today's episode will be uploaded there soon. We start 3.5 hours of news and first alert weather at 3 o'clock on Channel 19. But until then, I'm Dan DeRose, and this has been From Someone Who Knows.